Hi, good morning, all of you guys. Hope all of you can hear me. Yeah, anyone, guys, can you please confirm is I'm audible?
Yes.
Right, guys. So, guys, just a second. Right. So, guys, let's continue from the last session, guys. Let's continue from the last session. So, in the last session, we have been got discussing something about the some of the features of Python. What we are talking about that. So as I said that it is going to be a very simple to learn and a simple to use language. And I told you like why we are learning Python basically, guys. So we want to implement all the whatever the machine learning or a data science related techniques like data collection, data cleansing, data analytics, data visualization, machine learning, deep learning or evaluations, improvement, deployment, so you can perform all those particular operations very easily with the help of the Python. Why Python? I told you. So which is going to be nothing but it is easy to learn and easy to use. And apart from that, it is a general purpose language. So Python was not designed specifically for a particular domain or a particular community of people or a community of implementations. So you can use Python for any purpose we can use it. Like web developers can use, gaming developers, mobile application developers, networking people, hackers, mathematicians, statisticians. Okay, even the data science, data analyst people, data visualization guys. Okay, who are want to work on deep learning, AI, NLP. I didn't written that one actually, guys. Even NLP, all these are going to be provided by some. It's providing all the utilities to work with them actually. So that is one of the reason why we are going to be using this particular Python as the one of the common language which everybody can use it actually. And as I told you, one more technique which is going to be an open source. It is an open source language. So what do you mean to say an open source? I told you about that. Directly they'll give you the source code to you. Directly they'll give you the source code to you. Directly that source code, we can just extract it and we can just make some modifications, whatever you want. We can do that. You can work with that particular open source code. As I told you, you can free to use and free to distribute it also. You can distribute it. Okay, so I'll talk about the distributions later. So Python is going to provide you directly the source code saying that the code what we have been written directly we are giving the code to you. You can just take that code and you can handle it actually. And I told you the official website to download the Python is going to be from python.org. So where it supports all types of operating systems, Windows, Mac, as well as which is going to be any Unix or Linux systems. It will be supported actually, guys. So I works with both of them. I works with both Windows as well as Linux also. It's a if we want to work with the Linux, it is something different because it's not all GUI based. It is a command based. We have to work with them. You know that no, Unix and Linux operating systems are completely command based only. So you can use the operating system like CentOS, Ubuntu. All these are some of the flavors of Linux and Unix flavors. We can use it actually. And instead, I told you guys, download it from python.org according to your requirement. So download either a Windows copy or either the Mac, or if you want to use a Linux, I told you which one you have to download it actually. So maximum, most of you are using Windows, and maybe most of the guys who stays in US or etc. They're using the Mac machines. So it supports with both of them actually. And I told you about some history about that also, that how that evolved, how the Python evolution that has been got taken place, and over the time period how the Python has been evolved, and who is the author for that. The author is a Rossum. It's a Guido von Rossum. He is the author of the Python, and inspired from a language like ABC, he has been developed it. He has been written the Python. Along with that, there is a lot of contribution across the world. There are a lot of contributions are there. And how the name Python has came also I told you, which is going to be it's a TV show. It's a British TV show, a comedy show. So which is Flying Circus, which was directed by a group of people, and one of the member is going to be the Monty Python. So this Rossum is a fan of that particular TV show. He has been taken the name. And I also told you some other interesting story behind Apache Hadoop. So Hadoop is the name which was taken by Doc Cutting from the toy's name. His son's toy name is Hadoop, and he has been taken the name from there. So like that, there are some interesting stories are there, and we have been installed, which is going to be 3.11.2 is a version what we have been got installed. Okay. And one important thing is, as I told already discussed about that, we are here not to learn, here we are not to become an experts in Python. So I don't want to go in deep into the Python programming. Okay. Or I don't want to go a little bit about like what is compiler, what is going to be interpreters. Okay, so we are not interested to go beyond that. That means don't want to go into the deep details about them. We are only just Python users. We are just only the Python users only, just to use the Python basically for our machine learning implementations. So without becoming a Python expert, how can you use that? You need not to be a Python expert for that. You really need not to become a Python expert for that actually, guys. Just if you have a basic Python knowledge, that is going to be sufficient for us. Okay. So up to whatever the extent the Python is required, I'm going to be teaching you. So about that particular features and all these things, we can talk about that. Now I'm talking about a little bit features. I'm talking about only the features now. Whatever the concepts I told you about is going to be just, it is going to be the overview of the Python I have been told about that. Now we'll go to the internal features actually, guys. Okay. So some of the internal features, whenever we are talking about that, I'm talking about the now features about that. Okay. So one is going to be nothing but already I told you. Okay, it's well and good. If you understand it well and good, otherwise you can skip it. It's not a problem. Generally, we all of you know that. That means generally all of you know that whenever you have been got working with, that means whenever we have been got working with, which is going to be the programming languages, like which is going to be or a C or a C++ or a Java or something like that. We know the procedure actually. What is the procedure? We are going to write a program. We are going to compile a program. So that's why I'm saying that we don't want to go internally into that. What is compilation? Generally, who comes generally from the programming side, or who is already having the knowledge about some other programming languages, or who is from IT, who is having at least some basic idea about some programming languages, they knows about that, like which is going to be what is compiler and what is this one. But in our data science classes, generally, there may be not all of them. Generally, one or two guys may be there who do not have any idea about a programming language, Like we have some, in my batch of 9:30, in the 8 p.m. batch, we have a maths professor is there. He's a maths professor. So he knows about the mathematics. He's a maths professor by profession. So he is going to be knowing about maths, but he is learning the data science and machine learning now. He do not have that much idea about programming. So he is facing a little bit confusion with that. Why? Because he do not have any prior knowledge about any programming language. So that's why I don't want to go internals into them. That's why just a basic idea. Maybe one or two guys may be there who may not have any idea about a programming language. Sometimes MBA graduates will come, or sometimes which is going to be non-IT professional, the non-IT backgrounds. So without having any prior knowledge of any programming language will come. So don't worry about them, guys. It is going to be just hardly we are going to be gets working with that actually. So what do you mean to say compiler? What do you mean to say compiler here is, whenever we write some code, whether it is a C, C++, Java, or any programming language code we write, generally these programming languages are what we are going to call it as high-level programming languages. Why? Because the language is going to be understandable by ourselves. Like for example, if I said printf, so I can understand what is printf statement, but the machine, your computer can't understand that actually. Your computer can't understand it. That's why a high-level language needs to be gets converted into a low-level language which machine can understand it. So this process of converting a high-level language into low-level language is nothing but what we are going to call it as compilation, which is going to be done by the respective compilers. Like in C, there is a C compiler. In Java, there is a Java compiler. Like that, every language will have its own compilers will be there. Every language will have its own compiler is there. Generally, they are called as compiler-based programming languages. But coming to the Python, it is not going to be a compiler-based programming language. It is what we are going to call it as an interpreter. Sorry, it is an interpreter-based language actually, guys. So what do you mean to say an interpreter-based language here is, you don't write a program. Already I told you, we don't write a program like a C program, like a bunch of statements or a series of statements, and we don't execute it directly. Statement by statement only it is going to be gets executed. It is going to be a statement by statement execution is going to take place actually. These are what we are going to call it as the interpreted based language. So I don't want to go internals into that. Again, actually there is an internals concept is there, but we don't want to go into that. Just some features just to make you idea. If anybody asks you, like what are the features of Python? First feature, it is a simple language, very easy to use and easy to learn. And it is going to be something like it is a general purpose language which anybody can use it. And these are the open source languages. So these are going to be some external features, but what are the internal features about that? It is an interpreted based language. It is an interpreted based language. So don't execute like a program, just execute a statement by statement execution is going to take place. Okay. And one more feature I'm talking about the internal, that means the programmatical level features I'm going to be talking about. Python is going to follows the object oriented style of programming. So whenever I said object oriented style of programming, immediately so many people will get confused with that. That means whenever I said object oriented, that is going to be what we are going to call it as OOPS concepts. So whenever I said OOPS means, immediately that comes first to your mind is Java. The first comes, if anybody, some people has been learned the Java, maybe some people has planned to learn Java, but after that, after looking at the features and all these things, they maybe have dropped from the training for the Java. So because Java is going to be an object-oriented programming language, so many people still have a lot of confusions. Even I don't have any that much idea about program because my expertise is not on programming language at all. I'm saying that Python is going to follow an object-oriented style. So you need not to understand what is object-oriented, but we have to understand how the style of object-oriented style will be there. So if you have learned by using C, C++, while you are writing a C, etc., everything we write like this only, A, B, C, etc. That is going to be C style whenever we talk about them. But whenever we talk about an object-oriented style of programming, generally we'll follow the notation as which is going to be A dot, B dot, something we used to use like this actually. There is a dot notations, we'll use it actually. Same, it's going to be object-oriented style notation only. We are going to follow in the Python also. You need not to understand what is object-oriented. You need not to be an expert in object-oriented. But once if you know what is meaning of object-oriented, what is the style, what is the notations will follow, that is sufficient. Only notation is sufficient. So maybe some people may say that, some of you may say that, sir, I didn't have any idea about object-oriented. Then how? I will explain it, guys. 2 days. Just 2 days, I'm going to do, it's not even 2 days also, maybe 2 hours sessions will be there actually, guys. For 2 hours, I'll be discussing about an object-oriented style of programming. I'll just explain like what is object-oriented, what is a class, what is a method. There is a few concepts are there, 4 or 5 definition if you study, that is sufficient with that. Okay, that I'm going to explain you about that. So it is an interpreted based language and follows which is going to be an object-oriented style of programming. So like that, you can talk about so many features about the Python actually, guys. Maybe you can talk about somewhere around 12 to 13 features, we can talk about them. You go any online and verify what is going to be, tell me what are the features of Python actually. So once if you learn what is the features of Python, it is going to tell you about what are going to be the features of the Python only. So you can ask, let us ask the chat GPT. So I told you, no, so we are moving from, which is going to be from Google search to ChatGPT, guys. So you can start using the ChatGPT, guys. So open the ChatGPT, which is which is developed by OpenAI, and it is also developed by, which is also integrated by the Google also in the as part of their particular the Google whatever that particular edge is there. So they have been integrated, and along with that, we are having some other the Google and all these things are also coming up with them. So I told you, no, these are all just like a new chat. Just we can make a new chat and we can do it actually. So I'm asking, tell me what are going to be the features of Python actually. So what is going to be features of Python? Just like a chatbot, it is going to work actually. So I'm asking, tell me what is going to be the features of which is going to be the Python actually. So it is going to tell you about that. So the first point you can see it actually, guys. It's a simple and easy to learn. Python has a very simple and easy to learn syntaxes that makes this accessible to beginners and experts alike. Its code is very easy to read and very easy to write. And syntax is also going to be very easy to understand, which is intuitive and which is going to be expressive actually. I told you, no, there are going to be somewhere around 12 to 13 points they will write it actually. You can see all the same features what we have been talked about that. So see the features actually, guys. One is the simple and easy to learn. It is an interpreted basic language. Python is an interpreted language, which means that there is no need to compile the code before running it. This makes it easy to use and reduce that particular development time. And even I told you like a platform independent. It also supports almost all types of operating system. Every feature actually, guys. Python is yesterday I told you about that. The Python is a platform independent language. It can run on any operating system, including Windows, Mac, and which is going to be Linux. Just now I told you about object-oriented the programming concepts. Python supports object-oriented programming OOPS concepts such as encapsulation, inheritance. We don't require it, but you have to understand it actually. This is yet to discuss. This is yet to discuss. I have to yet to discuss about that. High-level language. Just now I told you about Python is a high-level language. Okay. So high-level language means user readable. Human can read it very easily actually. Okay. A high-level language, what we can see that actually. And already I told you open source. Open source is nothing but Python is an open source language, which means that the source code is going to be freely available and can be modified and redistributed by everyone. This has led to a vibrant and active communities of developers who contributed to the language and its ecosystems. So like that, we can talk about some of the features. Yet to discuss is, these are the two features are yet to discuss actually, guys. Okay, so which is going to be a dynamically typed language, and one more is going to be large standard libraries are there. I'll talk about them. Okay, so like that, you can talk about a lot of features if you talk about them. The next very important feature is going to be, it's a dynamically typed language. It's a dynamically typed language. Don't expect a complicated and a non-understandable concepts in Python actually, guys. The terminologies may be new to you, but they are going to be very easy to understand it. It's a dynamically typed language. This is one of the best feature we can talk about the Python. What do you mean to say dynamically typed languages, guys? Normally in any language, we know that if I want to use a variable, first of all, we have to declare the variable first of all. Without declaring, for example, you go to C, C++, Java, anywhere, you set I is equal to 10. It will simply throws an error saying that the variable I was not declared. So we have to say integer I is equal to 10. Immediately, if I try to assign I equal to ABCD, you will get an error. Why will get an error? Why? Because you have been declared as an integer. Throughout the program, you have to use it only as an integer only. You cannot modify, you cannot assign a string containing alphabets to that particular I variable. But in Python, it is a dynamic. Dynamic means you don't choose the data type. Python says that I am going to choose as the data type. In normally other programming languages, user has to decide what type of value you are going to use or what type of value you are going to represent. We have to specify that. Once you specify that it is an integer or a float or a string or some other thing, you have to use only as that type of data type only. But in Python, it is not required. The main advantage in Python is, guys, dynamically typed language means simply it is going to be no declaration is required or declaration is not required. No declaration is required. So like other programming languages, you need not to say I equals to 10, integer I equals to 10. You said I equals to 10, enter, and I equals to ABCD also, it will execute. Immediately you can change it automatically. This is an enter key actually, guys. What is the symbol I'm using is an enter key. You know that, no? Enter key is going to be having this kind of a symbol, enter. Immediately you can say I is equal to, for example, something like a true. Anything you can say it actually, guys. Same variable will act as an integer in the first step. Same variable I will be acting as an, which is going to be a string in the next step. And the same I is going to be acts as an a bool or a boolean. In the third step, it is going to be treats it as an. No declaration of variables. You know that declaration of variables is a very big headache to the programmers. A very big headache. Every variable you are using throughout the program, every variable we have to declare it. When you go to the real time, hundreds of variables are required. Every variable we have to declare. Unfortunately, if I already declare the variable I, one more time, if you try to declare the I, you will get an error. You have to verify, is already the I variable is already declared in my program. If it is not, you can declare it. Otherwise, it cannot be declared. So whenever it is going to this particular so-called as an variables concept, no declaration of variables is going to be required. So that's why we call the Python as a dynamically typed language. That means, you know what is meaning of dynamic? Dynamic means instantly it is going to choose as the data type. So Python says that, Python never says that I'm not supporting data types. Python supports the data types, but whenever you give the value, according to the value, I'm going to choose this. For example, if I said I equals to 10.25, then it is going to be chooses as n, which is going to be chooses as a float. It is going to be chooses actually. So you give me the value, which is going to be suitable. I am going to choose as it actually. I'm going to choose as it. So whether to take it like an integer, whether to take it like a string, whether to take it like a bool, or whether to take it like a float or some other X or Y. So I am going to decide it. So Python decides the data type. That is the reason why we are going to call Python as a dynamically typed language, what we are going to call it as actually. It's a dynamically typed language actually, guys. One of the best feature and one of the most advantage is going to be dynamically typed language. Can you see? Dynamically typing, meaning that is Python is dynamically typed, which means that you do not need to specify the data type of a variable when you declare. This makes the code more flexible and easier to read. It makes more and more flexibility. So it will give a lot of flexibility to you. Every time you need not to verify whether it is already there. So it will become very flexible to you. You can just add up whatever the variables you require and you can store whatever the data types. So no need to worry about that. I may get a problem called as a typecasting or a type conversion errors will come. Why? Because Python directly, which is going to be chooses that a particular application, guys. Okay. So this is going to be what exactly we can talk about the features actually. So number of features are there. You can still talk about a lot of features actually, but I'm not talking about that. Some internal features I have been told you guys. One is going to be, it is an interpreted based language. It is a dynamically typed language, and which is going to be follows an object oriented style of programming. Now, the main feature I want to talk about that. The main feature actually, guys. As I said that Python is very simple and very easy. Why? How it is simple? How it is possible? How to make it possible to make it simple? We learn C language, we learn C++, you learn Java, maybe any programming language. In every programming language, one of the major big headache, you have to follow some standards. We have to follow some kind of a procedure. We have to follow some kind of specifications. But whenever we are talking about the Python says that, as I told you, Python says that we are programming languages. But for every functionality you want to perform, for any functionality you want to perform, the Python says that we already written the code for that. We already written the code. Almost all for any functionality you do or any functionality you perform, we have already written the code and that code has been given as a function to you. So don't worry if you guys already having the idea about functions, that is well and good. Otherwise, no worries. I'll again explain it. What is function actually, guys? A function is nothing but a reusable code. That means a code that can be reusable. So write it one time, use it as many times you can use it. Just calling the function, just call the function actually. So if you have any programming language ideas, functions are common things actually. Because functions are common in any language, in C, C++, Java, .NET, or even any programming language. You use some softwares, Power BI, Tableau, anywhere functions are common things actually. Without the functions, we can't really survive in a programming, in the programming field, we can't survive it. Why? Because unless and until you don't have a concept of functions, a reusability mechanism does not come. If there is no reusability mechanism, you keep on writing the code for multiple times, which is a complicated one, time wasting process. Even for system perspective also, if you write huge code, the compilation execution will take a lot of time. So basically for reusability purpose, we use as the functions concept. Maybe if you have already learned C, C++, you already have some idea about the functions concept. So Python says that for every functionality you want to perform, there will be one function will be there. Do you want to perform this operation? This is a function. Do you want to perform this operation? This is a function. For everything, if you want to load the data, we have a function. Do you want to analyze the data? We have a function. Do you want to cleanse the data? We have a function. Do you want to apply machine learning algorithms? We have some functions. Do you want to do deep learning? We have a function. Do you want to do the data visualization? We have a function. For every operation you want to do, there is going to be a function will be there. How these functions are going to come? These functions are going to comes in a format of like a package. They will come actually, guys. They will come like a package. One by one functions won't come. A set of functions for some implementation will comes like a package. Just like a package. We generally call it as a package or a module in Python actually, guys. So Python comes with a very huge libraries. Libraries are nothing but modules and packages only. Python is going to comes with a very huge libraries. These libraries are going to contain a collection of some functions basically designed for reusability purpose. So for every functionality, so I want to perform this kind of a functionality. So what package I have to use? I want to perform this kind of a functionality. So what package we have to use? It is something like if we have learned the C language, in C language, we do something like include, which is going to be math.h. Okay, that means this library contains in Python, in C language, it is a library, guys. So this library is going to contain all the functionalities related to mathematical. Unless and until you don't include that, you can't use the functions in your program. Same as it is if you want to perform some string operations, string.h, we are going to use it. All the string related operations like converting a string into uppercase, converting a string into lowercase, finding the length of the string. All these operations are possible only whenever the string libraries are included. So Python also comes with a very huge libraries. These libraries are nothing but what we call it as packages or modules in the Python. What is a package or what is a module? I'll tell you later, which comes with a set of functionalities. I can't say that, I don't say that, just it is going to be something like a bunch of libraries. It is a huge bouquet of libraries, guys. A huge bouquet. That means a huge library is going to be provided actually. So Python is going to be provide you a huge library. It's not only developed by Python community, guys. As already told, it is already contributed by some other communities. So it is going to be third-party libraries are there, as well as even the Python core community has been developed that particular libraries. So huge support. It is going to be huge support of which is going to be the libraries. So for every operation, that is the main thing actually, guys. So normally when you ask a C programmer to perform an operation, for example, just an simple example, I'll tell you. I asked a C programmer, can you write a program or can you, whatever it may be, you write a program, I don't bother. You have to find out what is a factorial of a number. Let us say that I want to find out a factorial of some number I want to find it of. Then the C programmer thinks about what is factorial. A factorial is nothing but we know that it's going to be n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 into n minus 3 up to 1. So when I said factorial of 10, 10 into 9 into 8 into, which is going to be 3 into 2 into 1. So for that, a C programmer will write a program. How will he write a program? He will declare a temporary variable t equals to 1. And he will say a code while, just an example, if n is equivalent to 10, for example, while n is going to be greater than or equal to 1, he will say t is equal to t into n, and he will say n is equal to n minus 1. So I think all of you are familiar with some basic programming skills actually, guys, at least. So t equals to 1 is a temporary variable. Why? Because we want to multiply them. So we initialize it with 1. Let us say n equals to 10. So whenever 10 greater than or equal to 1, so t equals to t into n. So t is going to be 1, n is equal to 10. So by default, t contains 10. Then n becomes n minus 1, which is going to become a 9 actually. Then you know what will happen now. Again, go back. 9 is greater than or equals to 1. Condition is true. So t is already containing 10. T into which is going to be n will be 9. So this will become 90 now. Because 10 into 9. Again, t equals to n minus 1. Then it is going to become 8. Like that, it will comes to 1. Once it becomes 0, then it is automatically comes outside. Now, where is the factorial is there? The factorial is going to be available in the t variable. So a normal programmer, he will always think about how to write a program or how to write a logic for that. But when you ask the same question to a Python, generally Pythoneer or Pythonist, generally who are working on Python, Pythoneer, we call them as Pythoneers. Okay, a Pythoneer or a Pythonist, generally we call them as. When you ask the same question to a Pythoneer or Pythonist, he does not know what is factorial logic. The Pythoneer does not know what is a factorial. Even if you do not know what is factorial logic, also no problem. He will first think about, do I have any library to perform a factorial? Yes, there is a library is there. So the library name is math. First, what he will do, he will import the library. Just like in C language, how do you say hash include? In Python, we are going to say import. After importing the math library, in math library, there is a function called as an factorial. He will simply say math dot, the math is a library, math dot, there is a function called as a factorial of 10. Only 2 steps. He will import the library and just he will call the function called as a factorial of 10. Automatically, it will tell you what is the result it is going to come. Hope all of you are able to understand, guys. For every functionality, don't think that the functionalities are only for mathematical calculations or generally only for which is going to be for string operations, not like that. Even any operation is going to be done. For example, I want to draw a pie chart. I want to draw a pie chart actually, guys. I want to draw one pie chart. Okay. So if you ask a C programmer, C++, Java programmer, they says that, no, we can't draw the pie charts and all these things in the C language. In C language, C++, Java, it's possible in Java, but for that, there is some extra libraries and everything. We have to think about that. We have to write a lengthy code only. But in Python, when you ask a Pythoneer or Pythonist to draw a pie chart, you know the pie chart now, guys. You generally have an idea about what is a pie chart actually. Okay. So which will be a circle, which will be divided, taken into 100% and their contribution. So 50%, 60%, 70%, they will take it actually. Okay. So for example, if I say the males are going to be 50 and the females are going to be also 50 percentage actually, or anything, not only 50, 25 we have taken. So total circle is going to be taken as an 100%. Half of them is going to be shaded with one color and half of them is going to be shaded with a different color because it is 50 percentage. Or otherwise, for example, if it is going to be 50 and 25, then it is going to be 1/3 of the data is going to be females and 2/3 of the data is going to be nothing but it is going to be. So then it is going to be, the plotting is going to be like this. Let's say that. But how do you do that? A C programmer or a Java programmer, you never thought about how to plot this data actually. You never thought about it, and you never seen it also. You never seen this. You never seen this in Java, and we never seen this application. But in Python, you can do it actually. For that, you don't require to write any code also. That means I'm not saying that you don't write any code, but just like a 1 or 2 lines of code, we'll write it actually. Who will support the data visualization? So to support the data visualization, I have a library called as it's a matplotlib. There is a library called as matplotlib, which is basically for data visualization. Use that. In the matplotlib, we are going to be having a function called as a pie. You pass whatever the input you require. That's it. Automatically, it will draw the pie chart. It will draw the pie chart, guys. Only just import the library and whatever the functionalities you want to do it actually. Apart from that, you don't have any complicated work to work with this Python. You will feel it actually, guys. Before starting with the Python, I told you already, before starting with the Python, your concentration or your thinking will be, I'm learning Python, I'm learning Python, I'm learning Python. But once you move to the machine learning, you never think about the programming language. You never get a thought that you are using Python. You never think that you are learning a programming language. Your concentration will be mostly on the what is pie chart. What is pie chart? Why do you require a pie chart? But how to plot the pie chart, that is we never concentrate on that. Why? Because in Python, there is a simple function will be there. Call the function, provide the required input, call the function, automatically it is going to draw a particular pie chart. So Python is going to comes with a very huge support of libraries. So libraries are going to be nothing but which is going to be some kind of an functionality. It's a very huge library, guys. Very, very huge libraries. So many libraries. The libraries are nothing but, I told you, we call it as packages or we call it as modules. So just I'll give you some idea. That means there are so many are there, but some of them are contributed by external communities. Some of them are developed by Python team. Some of them are going to be contributed by some external communities also. Okay. So let me tell you some of the Python libraries actually, guys. That means Python community built-in, which is going to be some kind of an built-in libraries. We are going to work with them actually, guys. Like just now I told you, math to perform mathematical operations, RE, which is regular expressions, datetime to work with the date and times, OS to perform some operating system commands, etc., etc. So many are there. I'm not saying that just there are 4 or 5. These are all built-ins actually. That means they comes along with the Python only. There are some third party. Third party means there are some other communities. So whenever we talk about the other communities packages, so I was not interested to learn about all the packages. I'm only just talking about the packages which are related to our machine learning. So we have a package called as an NumPy, which stands for numerical Python. Almost all mathematical operations we can do it actually, guys. Okay, all mathematical operations. NumPy was contributed by a NumPy community. There is a community is there actually, guys. There is a NumPy community is there. It's not contributed by Python. There is a NumPy community. Mathematical operations using arrays, we are going to work with them. So if you want to learn machine learning, I told you, machine learning is always a mathematical learning about a mathematical models. So all mathematical operations are going to be done by NumPy. You have to work with pandas. Pandas are basically used to work with some data structures like what we call it as data frames. Okay, all your data manipulations. So data analysis, actually mainly designed for data analysis and data manipulations. A high-level Python package designed for data manipulations and the data and the analytics we are going to use this actually. Data manipulations and data analytics also. All analytics we are going to be doing with the help of the pandas. If you want to work with the data visualization actually, guys, just now I told you, it is matplotlib. You have so many are there. You have a Seaborn. We are having something like an bouquet. It's the name of the library itself is bouquet actually, guys. Bouquet, or we are going to be having a plotly, etc., etc. is there. So many libraries are there. So learning Python is all about not understanding the logic, writing the logic actually, guys. Understanding or learning of Python is only just about what is your package, how to get the package into your system, how to utilize it. That's it. You don't write any logic for that. You don't write any coding for that particular applications actually. We don't write any code at all, guys. No coding is required. Nothing is going to be required. Directly, we are going to use the codes. Directly, we are going to implement the functionalities as you can require it actually. These are some of the library. Who developed it? It is developed by a separate community. A matplotlib was developed by the matplotlib.org. Seaborn is developed by seaborn-pydata.org. Bouquet is developed by bouquet.org. Plotly is plotly.com. It's not plotly.org. Pandas was developed by pandas-pydata.org, numpy.org, sklearn, scikit-learn. So all these are going to be for machine learning actually, guys. Scikit-learn, Keras. Okay, we can work with yesterday shown, guys, TensorFlow. It is going to be, it's going to be TensorFlow, or it is going to be PyTorch. All these are going to be some of the libraries which are contributed by to the Python community. Do you want to work with NLP? So we have to work with which is going to be NLP related libraries, like which is going to be NLTK. It is going to be NLTK, and which is going to be something like we have a text blob, something like that. We have them actually, guys. We have some kind of a library. So learning of Python is all about learning these particular libraries only. So web developers will be there. Web developers won't use them. So there is a web developer is there. So he will think about only the libraries which are used to work with the web applications. He will develop it. He will import the libraries and he will start using the libraries. That's it. So it is all about learning some kind of an functionalities, usage of functionalities with the help of some predefined, like whatever the predefined functions will be there, which comes along with your packages or modules, whatever we get it actually. So being it is an initial classes, I'm not talking about them. What are the different libraries, but we can see it actually. So what I told you, a large standard library. Some of them I told you guys. Python contains with a large standard library that provides a wide range of modules. I told you, they are called as modules and functions for various tasks such as file IO operations, file reading, file writings, networking, regular expressions. RE stands for regular expression actually, guys. RE is going to be stands for regular expressions. And there are also third-party libraries also. So you can see Python has a vast ecosystems of third-party libraries and tools that makes it easy to extend the language to perform some specialized tasks such as data visualizations, machine learning, and many more is there. So every point the ChatGPT has been given, I explained you guys. They said 9 points. I think I also got 9 or 10, whatever it may be, does not matter with that. Okay. So that is going to be what exactly we are going to be talking about. So once again, a very simple to learn and simple to use language, a general purpose language, and open source, as I told you. Download it from python.org. It is an interpreted based language, an object-oriented style of programming. A dynamically typed language is the best feature, and huge support of built-in libraries, as well as there are third-party contributor libraries also. We have it actually. So this is going to be all about the features of Python. And once again, you are not here to become a Python expert. So you don't really need to go internally into them. If you have any confusion regarding any point, better to skip it. Try to understand it, take some help from anybody or from me. And then what you try to do is you try to understand it. If you didn't understand in any manner, so you didn't understand, you tried it a lot, but you didn't understand, better leave it. Simply better leave the concept, guys. That is a better option. Okay, finally, our implementation is how to implement anything in your Python. How the implementation will take place. So practical implementation, we have to know about that. You don't really require to understand this kind of the concept behind that particular applications. You really don't believe it. That means you can't imagine it also actually, guys. You can't even imagine like this type of operations can be done by using the Python. So that means we don't write any code at all. Generally, we don't prefer to write any logics. The Pythonians generally don't prefer to write any particular coding at all. They don't prefer to write any code at all. Directly, what they are going to be doing here is They will try to call the functions only. For everything, they will try to call the functions only. They will try to call it actually. They don't write any particular code. They don't write any particular code. They don't write it actually, guys. Just I'll tell you one small example, guys. I'll just tell you one small example. Don't it is an out of the discussion, because out of the discussion means later. It's a later we are going to be working with that. You never imagine, can you do this kind of an applications actually? Just want to show you like what features the Python is going to be gets providing for you actually. So don't worry, guys. This is a Jupyter notebook, what I'm going to be using it actually. See, I'm importing some libraries, guys. I'm importing some libraries actually, guys. There is a library, told you know, for NLT, for your NLP, we are going to be using, which is going to be a text blob. The name of the library is going to be text blob. I'm going to be importing, which is going to be, I also don't type it anything, guys, auto completions. It is going to be auto completion. Just if you remember the first initial characters, remaining is auto completion. It will take place actually. I press it that tab. It will take auto completion. Later, I'll tell you. I'll tell you about Jupyter notebooks later. It's taking some time. Don't worry. Just a spare some time. Just 1 or 2 minutes. Not that much time. Sometimes it will take some time. Sometimes, not always. Just a second. Yep. So this is going to be a library, a function actually, guys. The text blob is, don't worry, it's actually a class. Don't worry about that. So now what I'm going to be doing it actually, guys. Just a very simple, I'm going to be using some kind of an application actually. So just don't worry about that. Just don't worry about what I'm doing it actually. So the text is equal to nothing but a text blob of, let us say that a text blob of, I'm giving some text actually, guys. Okay. So let us say that I am happy. I am happy. This is the text I have been got written actually, guys. Just an example I'm talking about that. You know that I have written something wrong. I have written something wrong. I have been written actually. Happy spelling is wrong. Normally, you know that no, whenever we are typing in, whenever you're typing the Gmail or when you're typing an email or a text in the WordPad, there is a word suggestions will come. So happy is wrong. So can you correct the statement? So really, if you ask a C programmer to correct the statement, it's an impossible for him. Why? Because for every word he cannot write it now. Only for 1 or 2 words corrections only he can write it actually. So what I am going to be doing here is, guys, in the text dot, we are going to be having a method, what we are going to call it as a correct is there. See, this is going to be a text correction I have been done. I didn't written any code for that. I didn't written any code for that. The input is I am happy. That's it. So to correct that, I'm using a method called as an correct method. I have been got written actually. Correct is a method there. Somebody already written it. Who written it? The text block people has been written it actually. We are directly using it actually, guys. It's going to be a kind of an, you give the sentence, you give an email, and just you ask it to correct. It will automatically do the auto correction. It is going to be do that actually. So automatically, this is going to be gets done, that kind of an option actually, guys. Okay. Let us say that it is going to be, let us try this actually, which is going to be something like I said, which is going to be a beautiful something I have been got written. See, it has been done correction. Beautiful actually. Something like that. I didn't written any code at all. I just imported the library. I just given the text to the input and just ask it to correct actually. Itself is doing the work. Why should I do it all these things? This is going to be nothing but a library called as an text blob. A very, very powerful library, guys. A very, very powerful library, which is going to be a text blob, which is mostly we'll use it for NLP, the natural language processing we are going to use this, and we can use it actually, guys. Text blob, simplified, which is going to be text processing. You can do some corrections. You can see it actually, guys. There is going to be some kind of an word correction is going to be there actually, right? Spelling correction is going to be gets done. You can see all these are different operations what we can do that. So words, which is going to be, we can do, where is that? Word corrections will be there. You can just correct that particular words and we can do it actually, guys. It will be there. Spelling corrections actually. So how do you do the spelling corrections? So this Monty, you know that Monty is a person. Monty is equal to text blob. We are having it. We are no longer that particular knight who says NL or NI. We are now the knights and we say which is going to be something like Eki. Some text has been given, guys. Just if you just correct it, it is going to tell you what is going to be the correct sentences actually. So whenever we want to work with the text, we are going to be using a very complicated work. It's not a simple conversion, uppercase, lowercase, we don't require it. But whenever we want to work with them, this is going to be what we call it as. Don't worry, later we are going to work with them and we can see with an application actually. So this is going to be the ideas behind them actually. So in Python, nothing to write. In Python, nothing to write. That means nothing to write means nothing to write the logic, nothing to write with the code. Everything is going to be done, implemented automatically with the help of the whatever that particular libraries and functionalities what we have it actually. So just if you want to just for a small timing, that means if you want to do some kind of an like I want to read the data from CSV file. So we have an import which is going to be pandas. Why? Because pandas allows you to read the data. Pandas allows you to manipulations with the data actually. So there is a pandas libraries. The pandas is a library, which is the name we have been given as a shortcut as a PD. So do you want to read the data from any file? It is very simple. No need to write any code at all. Some small statement we are going to write it actually. From where you want to import the data. So just we have to import the data from a file, which is going to be, it is iris.csv file. So from a file called as an iris.csv file, it has imported the data and the data you can see it on your screen. But how many lines of code I have written? Just one line of code for importing the library and one line of code for reading the data from that particular file. That's it. Apart from that, I didn't do anything as part of the application actually. So that is going to be all about how we are going to be working with this particular so-called as the reading. See this? Do you want to do any analytics on that? You can do the analytics. Do you want to do any data visualization? You can do the data visualization. Even pandas also supports data visualizations. Even pandas also supports the data visualizations. You really don't require to work on that actually. Just an idea I'm telling that this is going to be what do you meant to say about a Python comes with a huge library, both built-in as well as there are third party. Third party means somebody contributed. We are using it actually. Some of them are Python contributed. Some of them are going to be some other external communities has been contributed this. Okay. So this is going to be all about the features of the Python, what we can talk about them. Let me close it actually, guys. So every day you will be having these files actually, guys. So .ipynb files. Initially, I don't start with them. Later, we'll start with them. For example, yesterday, what has been happened? So on 22nd, right? Yesterday is going to be 22nd. So on 22nd, you can see it actually. So yesterday, what has been happened on the 8 p.m. class, what we can see that. So there is going to be some clustering algorithm is going on. So what exactly the clustering algorithm, how it is going to works? It's a data visualization. Just a small line by line codes only we are going to write it actually, guys. So by looking at that, don't think that it is a lengthy codes we have written, but statement by statement only we have been executed. One small first statement. Okay, these are working with arrays. These are nothing but a clustering machine learning algorithms, something like that. It's a data visualization we have been got done. So something like that. It is going to be how much marks he has been got. The model, how much you are efficient, 85%. It has been done correctly, actually. Something like that. Don't worry. All these things, when you go to the actual applications, we'll see it actually. Fine. So one thing actually, okay, we'll start with the beginning as a basics only, guys. We don't directly start with the advanced concepts. But as a beginner, I want to just start with the basics of Python actually. Okay, fine. But where you have to write this Python code? Where we have to write a Python code? So to write a Python code, we have so many different types of IDEs. So all of you have an idea, guys. Nowadays, whenever we are learning a programming language, the first thing we are thinking about is where to write a program. You are learning Java, so where to write a Java program. You are learning Python, where to write a Python program. Or if you're learning some other programming language, where to write that particular program, So we require some kind of an IDEs that is going to be required to work with them actually, isn't it? So we have to work with some kind of an IDEs what we have to work with them. There are so many IDEs are there. There are so many IDEs are there, but I'll tell you later. But as of the timing, guys, I'm going to be working with a simple IDE, which is going to be what we are going to call it as IDLE. So who provided this IDLE? It is provided by the Python only. You need not to install it actually, guys. If you have installed the Python from python.org, yesterday I told you to download it and install it. So anyhow, today it is not required because today I'm not going to start with them. Tomorrow I'll start with them. So I told you to download the software from python.org, guys. If anybody has missed yesterday's class, you can go there. So this is very simple download and simple installation, guys, which is going to be python. Which is going to be org. It is python.org actually, guys. So go to the python.org and simply I told you to download directly the download windows, Python 3.11.2. It's a very simple installation. Next procedure. If you are using the Mac, you can download the Mac version. You can download it. Okay. But I am going to be downloading, which is going to be the Windows version. And I told you to install it. Just double click on that, run next. It will continue it. So it was already installed actually, guys. Go there. Go to the Python. You can go to the Python. You can see it there actually, guys. Where is that? It is going to be P, which is going to be Python. See, guys, 3.7 is there, 3.10 is there, 3.11 is there. Now there is going to be 3.11 is there. There you can see this option, what we are going to call it as IDLE. This is basically we recommend for beginners. That means for anybody who has started learning the Python, we generally recommend this. IDLE, which is going to be the, it's a learning environment. This is going to be how your environment looks like. It's a completely like a command-based, statement-based statement only, guys. Just like an which is going to be a command shell, we can say that actually, a command shell, which we are going to execute a statement by statement only. Just write the statement, execute it. Write the statement, execute it. Write the statement, execute it. Nothing to do with an applications. So the statement won't execute, but I'm just telling that application, guys. Just an example. I don't start with any practicals for today. So tomorrow we'll start with that. So just write print, which is hello world. It is going to be print, which is going to be hello world. That's it. I'm not writing any particular program. I'm not writing anything. So directly on the console itself, we have got hello world as an output, what we can say. It's a kind of an console application, guys. Just you know that what is a console. It is going to be just a command-based environment only. We can work with them. Okay. Later we'll see Jupyter Notebooks, PyCharm, the Spider. We have some other IDs like which is going to be VS Code. You can use a different IDs, but for the timing you have to use IDLE. So this IDLE software, how it will comes actually, guys. Once if you install the Python in your system from python.org, along with that particular Python software, you will be getting this particular IDLE will come. So this is IDLE Python. Use this one. Open it. You can see the environment looks like this actually. Python 3.11.2, February 7, 2023. And we can see it actually, guys. This is your Python environment. Just write down the commands. Whatever the commands you want to write, you can write it. Or whatever the statements you want to execute, write it. And simply they will execute it actually, guys. Okay. So this is all about the basic understanding, guys. So anyhow, tomorrow I'll start with the practical applications. Okay. So from tomorrow, we are going to start with some basic beginning concepts. I'll start with them. And then we'll slowly move. It won't take that much time in Python, guys. In other languages, it may take some time. First, we have to understand the programming, saving the program, compiling, execution, all these things. But in Python, it is not that much. Within 2 to 3 days, we'll go to the advanced concepts. Just 2-3 days only basics. After that, we directly go ahead and we can work with the advanced level concepts. We work with them. Okay. So that's it for the today's class, guys. So that's it. We'll end up for the today from my side. And if you have any questions, so we can discuss them, guys. Anyone, guys, if you have any questions? I think no one has been joined. Nobody is there new. Everybody has been old students only, right? Yes. Anybody, guys? Any questions if you have? I think all of you are fine with this for the today's session. So just for today, I'll stop it here, guys, and we'll continue in the tomorrow's class. And I think almost all 1 or 2 days we'll change the link. And hope all of you have been just already we have been done your payments and registration procedure has been everything has been done. So you will be starting sharing the drives and all these things we'll be getting within 1 or 2 days of time. Okay. So we started the practicals from tomorrow now, guys. 1 or 2 days we are going to I'll share you the drive and you'll get the access to the drives. Okay. So that's it for the today's class, guys. So anybody, any questions, guys? Right. So just for today, I'll stop it here, guys. And I'll see you tomorrow, same time, guys. Thank you all of you for today. Have a nice day.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.